Hello, welcome back to the HCCTV Student Lounge. This is a show done by HCC students for HCC students to give your opinions in news, entertainment, and what's going on in our school. Hi Carolina, I'm so glad you're here. I hope you stay safe during the winter storm. Those like crazy times.
Yes, Kaya, I'm so glad you made it through as well. We here in the HCCTV team, we have all sorts of stories and I'm so glad that we all made it through and we're still getting back together to normal after uh, pipes were bursted out of power and water. So I'm glad we are all here and we're making it through. We'll also joined today by Francisco, Josh, Eric, Chaz, and Andres. And we will also be joined by our guest, Dr. Burillo-Hopkins, the Vice Chancellor of Workforce Instruction and the President of Southwest College. And she will be here talking about how help for financial emergencies and disaster recovery and the new fast track training opportunity. But first, let's move into our top 3 news and events of the week. First, we have the resources for HCC students. And please, guys, don't be afraid to get help. Everybody needs help at this time. Kayo, do you feel afraid of getting help now in these days?
Sometimes it's hard to reach out because we have this mentality that people offer help but they're not really willing to help you, but it's not true. I actually got an opportunity to have help last year when the pandemic started. I actually applied for HCC and they actually I got some funds to pay for my tuition for the other semester. So it was pretty good and I was so happy to get that.
That's so true. And there are so many resources over here, guys. If you go to the website at HCC, you see the COVID-19 update is in red. You'll find resources for HCC students, and then you go to the emergency aid and you'll find emergency help and HCC cares. In the emergency help, you'll find resources for the winter storm Uri, the food and hunger, financial emergency shelters and housing, which a lot of people are needing right now because some people lost their houses. I actually have a friend who lost her house and I had to help her move out and she's staying with me for a couple of weeks. I'm helping her because she lost everything. And there's also mental health support crisis. And I have a tip I heard from a therapist. There's something going on because of COVID-19 that if you take a therapy fully online, your insurance should cover 100%, but only if you take it virtually. So if you're taking any therapy or you want to, ask for this information. There's also healthcare, paying for bills and cell phone and internet. And this one, personally, I got a discount because I was getting a new Wi-Fi for my new place and I get $150 in a gift card. So please check those out. It's really, really helpful. Now, also don't forget to apply for Swoop to the rescue. The deadline is April 2nd. And remember, the CARES Act is already closed, but please check all of these resources. Now, we also have the Eagle Mobile Market, which will be coming to HCC and all the campuses in this spring 2021. So all HCC community members, you can sign to receive food and you can pick it up in the campus at the date and time that you decide. And there are some new dates. I'm gonna mention them and we'll have them over here in the Northline campus on Monday, March 22nd. It's gonna be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Southeast campus, Wednesday, March 24th is gonna be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And Coleman campus on Monday, March 29th as well from 10 a.m. To 1 p.m. So Kai, if you know of anybody who needs food, please suggest them to go over there. In the winter storm, I was out of water and I went to get a pack of water at the YMCA. So that was so helpful. I don't know if you needed any of that, Kyle.
No, I was really lucky. Well, I actually went to buy water on the third day because I was just like scared, especially because we stayed without water at home. Like, okay, what are we gonna drink? So we went to look for it, but I didn't know there was places they were giving for free. And I didn't have internet, so I could not even like research anything. I literally just tried to find like a supermarket, a grocery store that had one, and luckily I found it.
Yeah, for me it was also really hard. I was out of power and I had to check everything on my cell phone and I had to go to my car and charge my phone. Well, if you need more information, you can ask any questions. You can contact the hcc.cares at hccs.edu, and we'll have that information on the link over here on the description. Now, I can give you some tips to improve your chances of obtaining rent and utility assistance in Houston. Myself, I am following these tips and they're helpful. First, you can call multiple days in a row if necessary. So some days those charities are out of funds, but some days they get again those funds. So one day they might not happen, and the next day they will. Now the second tip is you can call these agencies 10 or 15 minutes before they open, because they start making those appointments. So by noon they have them most already scheduled. So if you call them 10 or 15 minutes before, your chances are even higher. Now, the third tip is ask for referrals to other agencies who help pay bills. So most of these agencies, they work together or they know each other. So if they don't have the funds, they will give you the contact information of other agencies as well. And tip number four is try to establish a connection. Just like getting a job, it's really important to network or get connections with people who do you know. I have a friend who told me about a charity for Latin people, and I actually got funds for a utility bill that I was not able to pay. So they really helped me out. And the fifth tip is gather all the necessary documents because they only really needed to audit and they have to prove why they're giving you the money. So if you have recent car repairs, you have hospital bills, you have medication costs, or you lost your employment, you can gather all those documents and be ready for it. And also where to find utility and rent assistance. These are two links that we'll provide. Is the line 211. You can call them and they'll give you all the information. And readyharris.org. So you can try to find their phone number or even go to their website. So Kyle, how many resources I already have mentioned, right?
Yeah, so many. I'm glad you did that because, in difficult times, it's always good to know there's so many resources, especially even from HCC.
Yes, and like I mentioned before, don't be afraid. Myself, I work here, I have a job, thankfully, but unfortunately, I got COVID and I couldn't work for 2 weeks, remember? So that's why I was going on to all these resources because that's time that I didn't get any money back. So please check them out. Now, let's begin our first topic by hearing from our crew. They also have some places you can go for emergency, and they're even going to talk about what they think about the recent winter storm, which is global warming and all of that. And just like I told you, I got a lot of help from the freeze, from COVID, and also returning back to exercising. I'm following a new program because after COVID-19, you're a lot weaker. I talked to a doctor and they explained all to me. You have to go, you can have to follow a plan that's gonna help you. Like you have to start progressively. I don't know how to explain. And I usually I usually run. I'm sorry. And now I have to start like jogging and walking, and it's been painful for me because I love running, but I'm gonna get there someday. And Andres, I heard that you got some help from one of these resources I mentioned. You want to talk to us about those?
Yes, Carolina. Last year was a very difficult year for me. Actually, for my family too. So I didn't have enough money to stay here in the United States. So I went to HEC and the program HEC Swap Rescue. They helped me with $500. That it helped me a lot with that money. It was very good help for me. Actually, 1 month ago, I went to Central Campus because the Houston Food Bank, they went there and I get some food from them, some groceries, and it was very good for me because actually I still with some food right now. So I think HEC helped a lot for the students. I think it was very good help for me.
I'm so glad that you were able to use those funds and pay for your tuition, which is the most important thing right now, right? Like getting some food and finishing those classes that we have to finish to graduate. And now, what do you want to talk to us about, Eric? What resource?
I want to talk about something called FEMA. FEMA stands for Federal Emergency Management Agency. They're responsible for protecting and preparing and keeping safe all first responders and citizens in the United States. They're usually there doing a natural disaster or after a terrorist attack or something that impacts the environment and our surroundings. They were here recently doing the ice storm to help out the people of Houston. They were here doing Hurricane Ike. They were here after 9/11 in New York City. They're people that we can really depend on. I think that people should be aware that they're here to help, whether you need water, food, or resources to get back on your feet as soon as possible. So again, it's called FEMA, Emergency Management Agency.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, that helps also. Now, Kyle, you really want to talk about this topic because regarding this winter storm, you want to explain to us what's going on with global warming right now?
Yeah. So right now we gave you a lot of resource how you can be helped. But what about you helping others? And one thing that we never have in mind is that global warming is actually impacting a lot all those natural disasters that happen. For example, the energy that feeds hurricanes come from warm water. And if you have climate change and the temperature rising, the chance of us having way more hurricanes, it's higher. I think it was 2019, if I'm not mistaken. We have how many, like 3, 4 storms? Like, that's a lot. And we didn't have to have that many in the past. So that shows to us that it's a time to start changing. Otherwise, we're just going to live with those crazy storms. The winter storm is an example of this. We live in Texas. I've never heard of anything like this in here. And it was like a nightmare, literally like a movie. And Francisco's going to talk about that. But I just wanted to leave out here that if you want to help, and it doesn't necessarily mean financially, but if you want to help, start seeing ways how you can even improve your day-to-day, your carbon footprint, how much trash you even produce, are you recycling, for example. That's a really small step that you can get. So, you can literally start today. So recycling is a really good thing, and I've been doing for, since I started living by myself, I always take care to do that. And of course, if you can carpool with someone to work, not right now because you're in the middle of the pandemic, but once things start to go back to normal, little things like this can make a big difference. And also talking to other people. And that's what I'm doing right now. Just you doing your part helps, but in order to make it even more helpful, you got to make sure that you let people know. So you got to talk to people, show them, hey, that's what I'm doing. You can do it too. Let's change the world. So that's my message for you today, guys.
That's absolutely right, Kyle. We have to spread the word. There's a lot we don't know. Don't be afraid. Go and ask, research, know what to recycle. Not all the places I've been living at, they recycle the same way. So I have to go check out if they recycle plastic, what kind of plastic, and all of that. And like you said, little by little, even the smallest thing can help the environment. And I've also heard of some groups of people who gather together just like we're doing right now, and they talk about what they know and how they can help. And that's sharing the knowledge and what you just said. So I encourage you to do that with your friends and family as well. And okay, guys, well, that was great. Now that we've heard from all of you, let's move into our guest of the week. So why don't you introduce us to her, Kyle?
So today we have Dr. Burillo-Hopkins. She's the Vice Chancellor of Workforce Instruction and President of Southwest College. So how are you today?
I'm doing great. Such an honor to be here with y'all. And I was listening to all the things that y'all were talking about. And I'm so proud of all of you. And, Kyle, on the global warmings, I was so excited to see that y'all were talking about that. And most importantly, what each person can do to change, to help change that, right? So thanks for having me here today.
It's a pleasure having you here, and we're actually really excited to talk to you because Carolina already introduced the topic, which is like how HCC is helping the students. So I wanted you to talk to me about what is HCC doing to help? What type of funds are available for the students?
So listen, during this storm, like everybody else, we were many of us were trying to reach each other on the phones whenever we had phone access, right? Because not only were we losing power, but then we were losing internet and losing cell phone access. But we knew during that time that our students and our faculty and staff were being affected and, by what was happening. And we have this, I'm proud to be part of HCC because we're an institution, as you mentioned earlier, where we're always thinking about how to help our students, right? And so um, we started to have some text messages back and forth about what can we do to help? What can we do to help the students when we come back? So many of them are going to be in need. And so we reached out to the ACC Foundation and we started immediately an emergency fund to help students that are affected by the winter storm Uri. We kind of rallied together and to help our Eagles in need after the aftermath. And so the emergency fund for the winter storm Uri, I checked a little bit before I signed up today, and we have raised almost $10,000 already. It was a little bit over $9,800. So I know before midnight tonight, hopefully we'll get to the 10,000. But what's exciting is that the ACC Foundation also told us that they're going to match the amount that we raise up to $25,000. So the precedents we put in the first, we started, each one of us donated, and then we started reaching out to other folks. And so we're hoping that, between now and next week, we can, at least by Wednesday, which is when we hope to have the funds start to be available, that we get as much money as possible to help as many people as we can. And we are so grateful for all the HCC community, the staff, our friends. We've had business partners, vendors who have reached out and are helping us to raise the funds to help people who right now have been affected by the storm.
Yeah, it's tough times, and we even have people here. We have Eric. Unfortunately, a pipe broke at his house, and he almost lost his computer. Like, it was for minutes. He came to share a little bit more about his story. Carolina too. She stayed without power, without water, nothing. So it's really tough times. So how can those funds actually help the students? Is this just for paying tuition? It can help with recovering the home, for example, of the students. How does it work?
We figure, we're already in the middle of the semester. So, I think tuition and fees are pretty much already taken care of if you're a student, but it's really meaningful to, or it's meant to be mostly for exactly what you described, pipes busted. My computer was right there. I lost my computer, which I need right now to take my classes. I lost my books. I lost whatever they have to repair there. I heard Carolina speaking about some of the repairs that people are having to make, and it's really meant for those type of need. We have people who lost all their food they have in the refrigerator, and groceries are expensive, right? So it's meant for any of those type of losses that people may have experienced. I think it was Carolina I heard about making sure make sure you have your documentation. That is so important because the people who are giving you the money, they have to have proof that they're giving the money for somebody in need. So even though sometimes people feel like, oh, why do I have to show all of this? It's really a way to have accountability of where the dollars are going to the people who need it, which is the reason why people who are given the money want it to go to. So it's a way to prove that. But let me tell you, everybody who's given money is because they want to help. They want to help the students. They want to make sure you stay in school and that you're able to finish your programs and continue on your journey.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be my question. So you already kind of mentioned, but what are the requirements to even apply for this funds, this help, the financial help?
Yeah, so you have to be an ACC student enrolled in at least 6 credit hours, right? At least a half-time student. You have to be in good, satisfactory academic progress. And you have to have been affected obviously by the storm. And you have to have documentation for that. the page, well, I think it was Carolina who put the resource page or mentioned the emergency fund resource page. I'm hoping that on the that we can have a link to it as we are presenting this today. My understanding is for the funds, for the emergency funds, starting next Wednesday, they'll open up. Carolina also mentioned the deadline April 2nd. And so I encourage anybody who's in need, this weekend, put your paperwork together, get your documentation ready so that you can, next Wednesday when it opens up, you can make the application. So I encourage everyone to do that. And Kyle, another thing that we are putting together in addition to the Eagle Market is that we're also partnering with an organization called Helping Hands. And we right now are in the process of setting that up, but I believe right after spring break, we are, at least I can tell you at Stafford campus, we're going to have some resources available that include things like toiletries, towels. We have students that need kitchen supplies or kitchen items that got destroyed, baby items, diapers. We have many of our students are single parents, and those are expensive items. When you go to the Houston Food Bank, they're giving you food. They're not necessarily giving you things like that. And then in some instances, the organization also helps get furniture. And I heard, some people get their furniture ruined. So this is going to be a great resource. Go to the emergency fund website, go to that page. They're going to be advertising this additional resource we're going to have across the district. I'm excited to have that additional resource for all of our students at HCC.
Thank you very much. So before we close up, I would like to ask, is there anything else that you would like to talk to us about today?
Yeah, and I'll be really quick. Thanks for asking me. A lot of people during COVID-19 have lost their jobs. And many of us have parents, have siblings, have brothers, sisters, even friends who have lost their jobs. ACC has put together a list of programs that we have special grants that we're offering as we call fast track, meaning you're going to complete that training anywhere between 16 to 16 weeks tops. And some of them are shorter than that, but some of those programs are aligned with where the employers in Houston are hiring people. So these are high growth, high demand jobs that are going to be, that right now exist, but help you qualify, but you need specialized training. And that's www.hccs.edu/fast-track. So, if you know anybody or any of the students who's watching this today, have relatives or friends that want to go to school or need training or need to reskill or change their jobs, but don't want to spend 2 years going to college, at least not right now. This is a great pathway for people to start. And we have things in computer support specialists. I mean, you name it, we got a list of classes there. hccs.edu/fast-track. And those are free tuition, books, and supplies. It's a great opportunity to train in something at HCC and get started and become an Eagle and remain an Eagle.
There you go. Well, Dr. Burillo, thank you so much for being here. Those are great resource for the students, and I think we should take advantage of it, especially if you're going through difficult times. And remember, we are here for you. So what's going on now, Carolina?
I was going to say also, don't be afraid to ask for help. That was so fascinating to hear about so many resources HCC has for students and staff members as well. And I'll have to check all of those out. And also, as you know, we also cover things that are entertaining. So what shows are out that you want to talk to us about, guys?
Hey guys, I'd like to talk about the movie The Day After Tomorrow. So it's stars Dennis Quaid and Jake Gyllenhaal. And it's one of those that I think a lot of people were referencing during the winter storm because there's this iconic scene that happens in like the 12th story or something of of a New York library, and there's people having to like burn the books to stay warm, and like all these things that they had to do because of a huge weather front that came in. Much like the things Kyle was talking about, a huge weather front came in and just kind of threw the entire world's weather out of whack and kind of brought a new ice age. It seemed like so. I mean, if it's still a little too real for you, maybe hold off on watching it. But it's a really good movie, really good performances, and it's definitely fun to watch. The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with you, Francisco. I actually watched the movie when I was a little kid, and I got so scared because I really thought it could happen. And honestly, if we don't take care, it's actually gonna happen at some point. So we need to be careful. So let me recommend my movie for today, which is called Twister, and they actually have two versions of it. And the one I'm referring to is the one from 1996, and it's a really good movie. It's an epic disaster adventure film, so it's kind of like it gets you a little like anxious because it just happens so much stuff at the same time, and was directed by Jen de Bont from a screenplay by Michael Crichton and Anne Mary Martin. It was executive produced by Steven Spielberg, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's so good, because everything that main touches becomes great. So I love his movies, and he always has a little twist. You see what I did there? Anyways, Twist is a great movie. You should definitely check it out. You may be a little scared, especially if you're a kid. I watched that when I was a kid, and I also was really scared. And the worst part, I was living in Brazil. We don't even have tornadoes over there. Literally, we don't have tornadoes in Brazil. And I still be scared. So now that I live here, I feel I'm even more scared because it can actually happen now. Anyways, I just want to put out there. Who's next?
So I want to talk about the movie Volcano. It took place in 1997, directed by Mick Jackson, stars Tommy Lee Jones. It's about an active volcano that happens in Los Angeles, which is totally rare, if not possible at all. But because the earthquakes caused the earthquake and the volcano. But the main character is working for something called the Office of Emergency Management, which is very similar to what I was talking about earlier with the FEMA. So it's a good way to kind of get an idea what FEMA is through this type of organization in Los Angeles. But the movie shows how the Office of Emergency Management helps the citizens of Los Angeles through this horrific time of volcano lava going through the city of Angels. So it has a lot of good action, drama. It got 5 stars when it came out. So good movie, Volcano.
Maybe you've seen the Titanic before. It's one of the highest grossing films of all time, but you might think it's not realistic enough. Like, oh, they hit an iceberg. Oh, that would never happen. Well, let me tell you about another ship that crashed. It was called the Andrea Gale, and it's featured in the movie The Perfect Storm. It's based on a true event from 1991. Specifically, this type of storm was known as a nor'easter, where it happens in the North Atlantic, where a hurricane collides with two weather fronts. So the ship's ice chest broke down, and it's a fishing vessel. So they weren't able to keep their fish fresh. So they had to rush back to shore while there's a huge storm going on. And unfortunately, the captain decides they're going to brave the storm. And unfortunately, no one survives. So it wasn't very perfect after all.
Speaking about things that are terrifying and unfortunately way too relatable right now, I'm talking about the 2011 movie Contagion, which honestly mirrors a lot of the stuff we've been dealing with recently. Not only was the virus also came here from overseas, but it pretty much happens immediately one person's infected, and then all of a sudden everyone is.
I want to recommend the film Outbreak. The film is about a virus that begins in Africa because of monkeys, and one of these monkeys arrives in the United States because of illegal traffic, and in the United States the virus starts to spread to everybody. So that virus is something similar to the Ebola. It's something like that. It's a really good movie, starring by Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, and Morgan Freeman. The movie's from 1995. I really recommend this movie.
Thanks, Andres. Well, guys, it's the time today to say goodbye. As always, thank you so much for watching. Stick to the end because we have the funny video or the meme of the week. I see you next time.
Yes, also don't forget to send us your opinion, also send us topics that you would like to discuss, and we'll see you next time on the Student Lounge.